So as you can see today, I'm wearing my unit shirt, which is representing our master's program plus unit as a whole. Thanks everyone for being here. And today I'm going to talk about the fundamental underpinnings of the token economy, fundamental value, and how it's missing really a lot in the crypto space generally, and how unit really is, I think, revolutionizing that gap in the crypto space. But we'll just start with myself a little bit. I'm from the US. I'm a lawyer by background, but I worked in some think tanks in Washington, DC, and sort of advocating for free markets, individual liberty, human rights of the individual liberty kind. And I ran for office. I did a bunch of different things in the previous era of technology about a decade ago, advocating for basically government to give up some of their power and people to have more of it. And so one of the places I used to work at was called the Institute for Justice, this libertarian law firm where we'd represent, among other types of cases. We had an arm of the Institute for Justice that would represent people who couldn't get a license to practice the profession they wanted to practice. So, for example, a taxi driver or a barber, an undertaker, whatever it was. And so in their locality, the government created a license, and they gave out certain licenses to certain people, and we would represent people who couldn't get the license because the people that already had them got control of the agency in that particular city or whatever, that wouldn't give them out. So we would hold these people up as national heroes, in the US, and we'd go around and we'd ask the court that, to recognize a 14th Amendment right to economic liberty. It wasn't written there, but we'd say, okay, it's a fundamental right, the right to practice your profession free of arbitrary government interference. And we'd lose a lot, lose. And then, but we'd win one case, it was like, okay, that was the most action we had for the sort of giving people power to do what they wanted to do for their profession. And then we'd win another one and shop it around and and then finally get a circuit court case, one below the Supreme Court. But it was slow, and I just felt like, okay, we kind of ran out of rope on this. And that was pretty much the best technology I could think of at the time to advocate for liberty, until I came to Bali in 2015. And like for example, New York City didn't give out a single taxi medallion, that's what they call them, license to drive a taxi since 1959. Now, the population got a lot bigger. Why didn't they give them up? Well, the people that already had the taxi medallions didn't want any more supply, so they cut. When supply goes down, demand goes up, because there's a lot more people since 1959. Price goes up, and so by 2012, I think people had to pay $1.3 million for a taxi medallion, so made up property right. And so it's just people would take out mortgages for those things because they're so valuable. They could sell them in the future. But then Uber came along, and suddenly it was gone. It was like $100,000 from 2012 to 2013. It fell by like 90%, because the peer-to-peerization of things really is what was happening. It wasn't just in New York either. It was here in Bali. It came from the sky, and the local taxi mafia, so to speak, they didn't know what hit them for about 6 months. It was just, I have a car, you need a ride. Well, let's do it. And it was about a third of the price of the local taxi, the taxi people that control the taxi market. And I was like, that's where I should focus my energy, is peer-to-peerization of things. And of course, crypto is peer-to-peer on steroids. It's like a massive, it's not just information transfer. Well, I have a car, I can tell you that, and you need a ride. It's information transfer, the internet era, but it was blockchain, the value transfer era. And of course, if you're sending value, and you can hold it away from a government or from it's not confiscatable by a central power. That's pretty powerful, and you can send it to other people. I thought that was really cool. I want to find a project that I really believe in that's super moving down that path. And I think we found it. Maybe it's a bit myopic. I see some of our co-founders here, Yip and Maida. Let's see who else. We got some other people on our core team, Zach and Jay, and Christian. Thanks everyone. Oh, Anne, hello. So yeah, and all the rest of you. Really good to see you again. So this project, I just want to talk about how Unit really works, and what makes it so special, and what kind of gap it fills. So as I talk to people, and I'm talking about unit all the time, one of the first things I say is like, if you look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever the big tokens, maybe I'll share my screen here, just kind of have some visuals just to talk around. Go to, all right, you can see that. We've got Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, those are the two biggest tokens out there. Binance Coin, Solana, right? Well, all of them, while they're very valuable, you can see like the market cap here is, over $1 trillion for Bitcoin. Ethereum's over $500 billion. They're quite valuable. If no one wants them tomorrow for whatever reason, I'm not saying they won't, they'll fall to zero. It's just they trade around on. They're like commodities themselves. Like gold doesn't back gold. Gold is, nothing backs gold. Gold is itself, or oil is itself. Bitcoin is itself, and if they're trading around and no one wants them, they go to zero. So there's no floor value. And so it's been difficult for people to value these assets, these tokens, because they, okay, so Bitcoin is digital gold. Maybe let's see. Okay, so how much is gold worth in the world? Well, it's about $12 trillion. Okay, so maybe that's the potential market cap of Bitcoin. Okay. So now it's a trillion, so that can go up 12 times. Okay, what about the number of dollars in the world? Oh, Bitcoin can replace the dollar. And these are kind of like really just people trying to get their minds around what these things are worth. But it's not the ultimate evolution. And unit really fills in that evolution. So until 1971. The U.S. dollar was backed by gold, and all the rest of the world's currencies, most of them anyway, were backed by the dollar. There was a sort of a peg. So like if you had $35, you could bring an ounce of gold to the U.S. Treasury if you were a licensed entity, and they give you an ounce of gold. So it was backing it. So there was a limited supply, and it couldn't rise, or it couldn't be inflated away, the value of the dollar. Well, now since 1971, I won't go into details of why. Maybe you guys know that, but the dollar's been losing a lot of value. I have another. Let's see, maybe we can this visual of that. Just how disastrous it has been for the inflation has been for that. We've got here the rise and fall of the U.S. dollar. You can see in 1944 here. This is the agreement. There was an agreement made that the U.S. dollar would be the world's reserve currency, and all these other currencies would be backed by the dollar. But since then, the currency has fallen by well over 90%, and anyone earning dollars, anyone saving dollars, just lost a lot of their wealth. And it's really a tax on savers and wage earners that a lot of people don't really, it's so subtle that a lot of people don't understand it or see it happening. So Bitcoin, so unit really couldn't exist 10 years ago when Bitcoin was created, because we need digital assets to have as reserves. That the gold of the digital era is not gold, right? Because gold it's not digital. So you have it in a vault. You got to pay storage costs. And so what are the biggest tokens out there? We just looked at that list: Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, Solana, which just took the third or the fourth spot, I just noticed, Polkadot. And so there's 8 of them that we use on Unit's platform. So and they provide sort of so that on Unit there are 5 levels of tokens, and each one of them feeds into each other. So it's kind of it's a super cool like inside out framework that's been created, that we've created. So the first level of tokens is all those big ones, so those big ecosystems, they've already established themselves as having a lot of value. So they can be invested in the second level token, which is Unit. Unit's the home token of Unit.network, which is the sort of the blockchain that's built on the Polkadot ecosystem. And so if you want to buy Unit, you don't use dollars, you use Bitcoin or Ethereum. And that Ethereum or Bitcoin doesn't go into an opaque vault where it's just sort of like stored in a way that nobody can see it. Like Fort Knox stores the gold in the US. No one's audited that for several decades. Here you have the Bitcoin goes into the Unit treasury. You can see, everyone can see exactly what's in there. And so that's pretty cool. And then the third level of tokens, we at Unit sort of went, okay, we're trying to take all the world's value from the analog world, businesses, people, personal tokens, brands, whatever it is, and put them on in the digital world. How do we do that? Well, how do we categorize that value? So, okay, what about industries and cities? Because industries, there's a lot of value there. Cities is a nice collection of value as well. So if you take those industries and cities, now that's the third level of token. That's that we have, let's say like industry tokens would include like fitness token, yoga token, movie token, music token, and city tokens would be, I'm here in Bali, so Bali token, New York token, Shanghai token. The biggest categories of this value. The cool thing is that you can buy into one of those industry and city tokens with Unit. You can buy into it with Bitcoin. So each level below feeds into the one right above. And then the fourth level and the fifth level tokens are essentially like agency or project tokens. So let's say, for example, Noel, you want to create your own token. So you have your own personal token. And let's say, for example, you have 100,000 Noel tokens. It takes 5 seconds. You go on Unit.network, you create your own token. You get Noel token. Now you want to sell. Let's say you're making $1 million a year just for fun. Okay, so you're making $1 million a year. You're putting that $10 per token into your treasury, and so the key thing on Unit, there are a number of cool things that you get when you create your own token, but the key tools, in my opinion, are the bank and the treasury. So let's say you're making $1 million a year. Christian buys 10% of your tokens, right? So he buys 10,000 Noel tokens, and that's he for simple numbers, he puts Bitcoin in there. So he gives you $10,000 of Bitcoin, and he gets 10,000 Noel tokens. So now you get that value, you get the Bitcoin in the bank. So the bank is accessible to you as the operator of the Noel token. You can take it out. You can go, spend it on something. Maybe you're making a jewelry business or something, whatever you're doing. And you buy some inventory. You rent a place, whatever you're going to do. You also have the power to take what's in the bank and move it to the treasury, and the treasury is accessible not to you as the operator, but to anyone who owns Noel token. So, let's say so you have 90% of the Noel token and Christian has 10% of it. So you can both go in and take out 90% of the Bitcoin that's in there. Remember, there's $10,000 of Bitcoin, so you can take $9,000 of Bitcoin out of there, and then Christian could take 1,000. Now, you won't do that because with every single token with every token built on Unit, there are 3 levels of value, and I think we should do a little bit of a primer on what gives something value. So with a stock, maybe I'll share my screen one more time here. With a stock, we'll use Apple here. Apple stock. All right, no, that's silver. So with Apple, you can see that it's trading at, right now it's $151.33 per Apple share. All right, now what we were just talking about with what's in the Noel treasury, that's essentially like the book value. That's the base value. So the value of Apple stock doesn't, like we were talking with Bitcoin or Ethereum, if no one wants them, they'll fall to zero. Well, if no one wants Apple stock, it won't fall to zero. It'll fall to something around because if it fell, all the Apple stockholders, 51% of them can get together and vote and liquidate the company. So now and they'll get the assets that it has. So you can see, let's look at the statistics here. They have a book value per share here of $3.84. So that's, if you took all the assets that Apple has, subtracted its liabilities, and then divided it by the number of shares, you get $3.84. Well, that's not what it trades at. It trades at $151. So you can see the price to book ratio here is 38.52. So there's a price to book ratio, and it's super cool that like in the crypto world, we don't have anything like that until unit came along. So now we have this treasury that provides a floor value for the Noel token. And then the second level of value is what it trades at, just like the Apple stock. So now it can trade around, and Apple, they earn income. So people are saying, okay, well, in the future, there's going to be, like, we think they're going to make this much money every year, and then that will be discounted to the present. It's called a discounted cash flow. I don't need to get too deep into it, but basically, like, how much money they're going to make in the future, and then guessing at that, the market's trying to guess at how much value that has. So with the Noel token, we can, maybe from your jewelry business, you're going to make some money, right? So now you got that base level, the 10 cents per token that Christian put in there, and now you're making $1 million a year. You're making $10 per token, right? Because it's 100,000 tokens, and that $10 will be trading at some multiple of the income. So like Apple, I don't want to go back to it now, but Apple trades at about 30 times a year's earnings. And similarly, like most stocks on the S&P 500, like the biggest US stocks, they trade about 30 times earnings too. So, but if you have that book value, then so like if you had a private business, you create your jewelry business, let's say you're making your $1 million. Now it's just you and the bank, you and Bank of America, you and whatever, Deutsche Bank, wherever you're from, and it's a very siloed relationship. And you might have some private equity buyers out there who might pay maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 times earnings, but but if you go public on the stock market, then you have, wow, okay, you got to pay investment banker fees, you got to pay attorneys fees, and deal all the regulatory costs of a country, which can be quite expensive. So if you do that, now you can go public, and maybe there are 250, 300 million people in the world who buy stocks, and they may be paid 30 times those earnings. So now that $1 million you're making, you trade at maybe trade at $30 million if you went public with your little jewelry business. But of course, small businesses don't do that, and so there's a big gap between the people who can go public and the people who and just regular people, starting things off from nothing. So if you do that, we picture at Unit, you create a token. First thing you'll do is create a token, you go public. And now you don't have 300 million stock buyers, you have 6 billion people in the world who, or however many smartphone owners there are in the world, can buy your token. And so they'll push up the price they'll pay for those earnings, maybe to 100 or 200 times, because there's so many more of them bidding up the value of those earnings. So remember, so you got that base value of 10 cents per token, and maybe that trading value is, let's say it's 100 times the $1 million you're making. So now it's trading at $100 million. So now, Noel, you've created this 100,000 Noel tokens, and they're trading at $100 million valuation. Well, that's $1,000 a token, right? That's a lot. So now, and you have $90 million. I mean, you have $90 million of this token that you created. And all you did was like take the $1 million you were earning and create a token around it. So, and Christian, of course, has $10 million, so he's super stoked. So, I mean, we think at Unit that a few case studies like this, I mean, maybe it's not jewelry, whatever it is, it could be your personal token, or a business you created, or a brand, or whatever it is. That, I think, will drive people to want to tokenize anything of value, because you are plugged into the whole world of value. So that's only 2 levels of value. One is the book value, the second is the trading value, and that highest level of value, the third level, is for you selling things. So now you're selling your jewelry, and it's trading, and the token's trading at 10,000. You might give people like a little discount, maybe $950 per token worth of jewelry they're going to buy from you, because you want your token owners to be part of your community, and they're going to come along and go, hey, yeah, I think I really love this. Like, you have to convince them to give up this super valuable thing that they have in order to buy stuff from you. So we picture it, to be super cool. Like maybe like 3 or 4 years, 5 years, you won't go to a barbershop, a restaurant, whatever it is, and be a customer if you're not also an owner. So it's just like it makes the owners and the customers and the employees all on the same page, whereas they just aren't right now. The founders and investors get quite wealthy, and the employees get paid dollars that are losing value, right? Just bleeding away. So you get this yawning gap between the rich and the poor, money losing value. Whereas Bitcoin, Ethereum, these reserve assets of the digital era, they're rising in value, and that's how people get out of poverty is the money gaining value. It's a very subtle thing that happens, and I don't think people generally realize that that's the source of people getting out of poverty is money gaining value. But if you look in throughout history, there are examples of money's gained value over a century. Prices have fallen by half, let's say, in a century. Those are the countries that had middle classes and all the good things, all the abundance that can be created. So those are the 3 levels of value for a token. Let's see. So you got the bank and the treasury, and essentially what we're doing at Unit is we're remaking the global accounting system. I mean, you think about it like, okay, you have U.S. accounting GAAP, you got European accounting standards, you've got Chinese. I mean, it's very opaque, and I don't want to buy a stock in China or whatever. You can be in Somalia and be on our accounting system. It doesn't matter, right? So you get that treasury. It's like a book value, and you've got a price, a second level price. Now you've got a price to treasury ratio. I mean, that's essentially like a price to book value, right? And you can see how much has gone in the treasury, which is kind of like the dividend that's being paid to you as a shareholder. Traditionally, it's like going into the treasury, so you can see how much has gone in there in the last 3 months, the last 6 months, year, 5 years, and that's kind of like earnings. So you can see a price to earnings ratio. And now we start to sort of compare tokens globally, not just 500 stocks in the S&P 500 or a few thousand that are maybe trading in the Russell, the smaller stocks in the US or whatever, but the token 20 million or the token 200 million. We picture like where everyone's going to have a token and we'll all own a share in each other. And even the super micro levels, like it'll be quite democratized. Like, here in Bali, some corner, I really like this guy in the corner store. I kind of like to invest in him. I think he's going to do a great job. Hey, I'd like to buy a stake in you. And somebody in Siberia could do that too. We can all share in it, and we can all compare these. Excuse me. We can compare these tokens to each other on these various valuation metrics. So it's super cool, and I think will drive mass adoption of crypto assets. So like I said, there are 5 levels of tokens. You get the level 1, level 2, the unit token. Level 3 is the industries and cities, and level 4 and 5 are those projects. So the projects can decide which industries and cities they want to accept. Like if I have a restaurant, I can decide, hey, yeah, I'm in Bali and I accept food token. So now people can use food token, which is backed by unit, Bitcoin, right? All the way down. It's like a waterfall of value in my business. So they can use food token. So I'm part of the food industry. It's not some top-down taxonomy that, okay, we think you're in the restaurant business, but you think you're in the art business. No, you can decide. So it's super bottom up, super democratized and decentralized in that way. And then also I accept Bali token because it's the city I'm in. So really, just very organically, I think what's going to happen is we'll look in a few years, we'll look at that CoinMarketCap list, and it won't be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance, et cetera. It'll be, number 2 might be Shanghai token. Number 15 will be music token. Number, 25 will be Bali token. It's actually the value represented in the world by those economic categories, I guess, cities and industries. Because if you wanted to buy Bali token, you'd get a stake in basically everything happening in Bali. You just really think Bali is a good idea, and you want to fund things that are there. You want to be, have a stake in it. You want to feel part of the community because, as I said, you can use those tokens to buy stuff. And so it's really, I think they're like almost like nations. Like going back to my personal background about like trying to, the governments really are kind of stopping people from interacting with each other on a voluntary basis. Well, if you have a token that can't be confiscated and it's yours and you have a community built around it, it's like its own country. And you get, the bank and the treasury are 2 of the tools, but you get, all kinds of communication tools and ways to connect with your people that own the token as well. You can share with each other. You can Zoom meetings, you can have events and all kinds of cool stuff that really builds community tokens. And if you look at some of the big finance big crypto people out there who are public about what they do and talking about the crypto market. Some of the more forward-thinking people are talking about community tokens, but they don't know about Unit yet. They don't know that we have like oh yeah, community. Disney's got a big community, for example. Wow, this guy Raul Paul. Some of the people on our team probably know who I'm talking about. So that Disney has a great community. What if you could buy Disney? Wow, it's really great. But how do you make that valuable? I don't know how that interacts with the world of value. Well, I think we built that bridge, and I think it's going to be it's really going to blow up quite dramatically. And I think so. There's something out there. Like if you for example, if you had a Facebook group, with music, you just like you and your high school friends create a music group, and you said, okay, let everyone join my music group, okay? But well, maybe your high school friends, your buddies would join, but who's going to join if you don't have a brand, But if you put Snoop Dogg in there, right? He's in the Facebook group. Okay, everyone wants to join because he has value. So capital value. In the internet era, it's brand. Like Jennifer Aniston joined Instagram, and one day she had 28 million followers. It's not because she's a great Instagram, operator. It's because she brought a brand in there. She's quite famous already. So, one of the super cool things I think that's really really awesome for Unit is that you can start as a complete, start from nothing and go from that that nothing point. Like I have no brand except for my close friends or whatever. And you can bridge that gap that's hard for a lot of people on Instagram and Twitter until this point, because if you just started a Twitter account with no followers, like okay, now you got to be an attention hog, say all kinds of crazy stuff, and get people to like be following you or hating you or loving you or whatever. Really very we've become very. I mean, society to some degree has become quite competitive for attention, and like jumping over each other to annoy each other or get more. I'm visible. Look at me, and then you have a brand, you can sell things or whatever it is. But what's cool is like if you start with nothing and you have a token, like I say, I have a Joe token. It's on Unit. It's not when we have the whole thing working, it'll be tradable, and I'll put my income in there. I want a lot of people to own it. I want people to have my token because I want them to all be looking out for me. That's the cool thing about the community is everybody who owns a token starts to look out for that person, that operator, that business in a way, like seeing through their eyes. You go to the restaurant where you're an owner, now you're a customer. You're looking around and thinking, I'm not just going to write a horrible Yelp review about this place and just like stick it to them if I don't like it. No, I'm going to like look around and go, that painting's a little tilted, and kind of just try to make it nice. You got eyes and ears everywhere when you have your token owned by a lot of people. So I really think that as I say, these are nations we're building, and it's super decentralized. You just start your own nation, and you're going to have a lot of people who want to own it and be part of the community. So let me see what else I was going to talk about here on Unit. So the standard sort of economic teaching out there is that, and I've studied economics, studied economics in college, studied finance in business school. I mean, I know the standard teaching, and I know that both of they're coming from a perspective that for me is the exact opposite of what's correct. And that is that spending, basically taking what you have and blowing it, is what drives everything. Just think, okay, I have this, you need to spend it because businesses get my spending, and that's how they get income, and that's how people get paid, and then they go spend. So spending is the key. Whereas to me, it's the exact opposite. We start with savings. What you don't spend and you save is available to finance other people's investments and other people's things, capital investment, business expansion, job creation, and more supply of stuff brings down the price, which allows poor people to be able to afford it. And so that's, I think, one of the things that will drive adoption of Unit in a parallel way is the key thing that will drive Unit is capital, is savings. So the Unit treasury, we're raising, we're doing 10 rounds of fundraising for Unit token, and we're raising a little over $200 million. But we're raising 25 million to start in the 5 rounds, but ultimately it'll be over $200 million we're raising. But that money it's not going to there's no burn rate. When you invest in someone's business, they spend it, You hope that they make more money than they spend, and you make a return on your investment. But with unit, it just goes to back the token economy. We're taking all the world's value and systematically putting it on the blockchain in a way that's sustainable and allows people to communicate with each other and connect with each other on this level, a higher level than they could before. So yes, we're raising money for the unit token treasury, but then after that, we're raising $150 million each for 50 different industry tokens and 50 different city tokens. So and of course, you can use Bitcoin, Ethereum, et cetera, to buy unit. You can use Bitcoin, Ethereum, and unit to buy music, to buy Bali, right? And so once we get all that, you get all that money in the treasury, it's like that Snoop Dogg example. There's value there. Other people want to be there. And money's a form of value. Brand's a form of value. Until now, it's brand that we relied on for the internet. But money, in rising money, like the gold of the now era, Bitcoin, for example, or rising tokens, those serve as like bees to honey. People will come and want to earn music token. I'm a kid in Somalia, got no access to any gatekeepers. I'm not in New York or whatever. Like I don't have any access, and I'm an amazing musician. And my friends like, I want to earn music token. I want people to like spend this thing. And and you'd be part of the community, so it'll draw people. Like it's not based on name anymore. Like for example, Miami has a token, but there's no backing to it. There's no treasury. There's no bank. And so if we create a Miami token, or we're backing a Miami token, the value in the treasury is the key. It's not the name anymore. We've become accustomed to brands ruling the winner in the internet era, but now the blockchain era is it's building the bottom layer of that internet, securing the internet, and so we can have real value in treasuries being the driver of use and adoption. So I think that's pretty cool. We have Q&A here. I'm going to, one more thing I just wanted to cover. So Michael last time on Tuesday was talking about the decentralized exchanges, DEXs, and so I just want to connect the dot between what I've been talking about for value and the adoption of tokens on the unit network with the DEXs. So what's cool is like, as we talked about before, Apple, only really big companies that can go public, and now they trade on a centralized exchange. It's called the Order Book Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange, or the NASDAQ, I guess, for Apple. But if you create a token and you don't have any following, right? Like, there's my dad there. Hey, Tony. So Tony doesn't have much of a following, even though I love him. He was a former master speaker as well. He's got a good following. I'm just kidding. But let's just say he creates a Tony token. And so we can make a market in Tony token. You can take the pairing, and maybe some of you guys remember Michael's talk from last week or on Tuesday. You pair USDU, which is the dollar of the unit blockchain, with Tony token, right? So you can create Tony token. He's making billions of dollars. Let me tell you, he's making a lot of money. No, I don't know, but he's making $1 million a year, and he's putting that into the Tony token treasury. Well, we can all buy into it. So but when we do that, there's a 2% fee, which sounds like a reasonably high fee, but it's for a good reason. So that 2% fee, when I take my USDU and I go buy Tony, not from him directly, but from this pool that he put it in, or whoever the owners of the Tony token are, put it into, we come and we pay that 2% fee. So 0.5% goes into the unit token treasury. Remember, that's the level 2 token. So we get the level 1, level 2, and Tony is a level 5 token. But so any trade to buy a Tony token, 0.5% so the 2%, 0.5% goes into the Tony token treasury. 0.5% goes into the unit token treasury. So that's another source of income other than just like the business you're creating and having a token around. There's trading fees that go into your treasury as the token that you created, and the unit token. And that really will start to push the adoption of crypto assets. The third 0.5% goes into the pool, incentivizing people to put their Tony token there. and being paid out to them. It's like trading fees. And the fourth one is paid to the person that brought me onto the network. So it's like an agency model. It's another business model where we can kind of like get everyone one by one sharing in this network, and the fees are going back to the network and going to each other in the community. So maybe I'll stop there after 40 minutes. Maybe we'll look at some questions here. Well, we got a lot of them. All right. Or a lot of comments anyway. Yep. Do you have any curation you've thought about while I was talking, or should I just start looking here?
Hey Joe, super. Just feel free to go free, like flowing about it. I think there were a few questions. One of them from Chan here from the community, who's like, "Hey, is there any vesting on buying the tokens?"
Is there investing?
Vest period. Vesting
Vesting.
period.
Oh, for the Q&A, is there any vesting period if you buy tokens in one of the selling rounds? I see. No, you buy them and they're instantly liquid. Now, of course, you're talking about buying in our rounds of sales, not from the liquidity pool that I was just mentioning. Thanks for coming, John, by the way.
Yeah. There's a second question asking what city tokens are actually already existent, and who decides who gets to start a city or country token. What if 5 people start tokens for the same city?
Great question. So that goes back to the well, first of all, we have 50 different city tokens that we're creating, just sort of like backing to sort of get things moving and raising capital for them. But we kind of picture, we think there'll be thousands of city tokens out there eventually, because people will want to tokenize their city because it's a place that there's value happening. And if people create, if there are 5 tokens named after a city, the ones that would be valuable are the ones that raise capital. So again, that's the driving moat, I would say, around a token in the token economy, where you have real value and backing, is how much they're worth, what the floor value is. And then that would drive a larger usage, which would drive more fees into the treasury, which would drive a higher trading price. So I don't know if maybe there's room for more than one. We'll see. But I think it'll tend towards one city token that everyone will kind of gather around, because there's no reason to have multiple tokens with the same name with a lot of money in them. But maybe, I mean, there's nothing stopping that from happening other than just maybe the natural function of network effects.
Yeah, the beautiful thing, I guess, to add on that for the collaborative token economy is that, it's collaborative. So it makes a lot of sense to team up and build that token economy for each city together with 200 core team members each, rather than one person doing it alone. You won't get the power and the movement, the momentum needed to do to create this economic force that really transforms the operations. There's a question from Chris in the audience. He says, you mentioned Bitcoin and Ethereum linked to it. What about that?
You mentioned Bitcoin and Ethereum linked to unit token. Will you be included in unit on Cardano? No. So unit, I didn't mention that. So unit is built on. So there's a project called Polkadot that unit is its own blockchain. And so Polkadot has this what's called a relay chain in the middle, like kind of like the evolution of blockchain. So Bitcoin was the first one, of course, and that was sort of like dumb. I send this to you, it securely shows up, and it's still probably the most secure network. But it's not. It's got scaling issues. Doesn't go super fast. It's a bit expensive to send over the blockchain, and it doesn't have a lot of programmability. So the next evolution was Ethereum, where you could there's still a 1-lane highway, but you send something that's programmable. And you're talking about Cardano. It's another improvement in blockchains. But Polkadot is what Unit is built on, and Polkadot is sort of interoperability of blockchains. That's the next sort of wave of that. So Unit is a blockchain that feeds into that. It's a relay chain. It's a called a parachain that feeds into the relay chain of Polkadot. And it's a bit technical, but so yeah. So but Cardano also feeds into into Unit and to Polkadot. So it's really sort of like the United Nations of tokens of blockchains. And Unit, we're trying to sort of have all the communities. I mean, we have 5 different initiatives that are sort of like marketing initiatives for getting Unit going, or for any token. You create a token, we call it Caveman, CVMUN. And so C is for conferences, V is for ventures, and it's conferences like, we're like for example, right now we've had the World Bitcoin Forum, the World Ethereum Forum, World Polygon Forum, the World I'm missing another one. But I'm putting on the World Binance Smart Chain Forum. And by the way, if you guys have any ideas for speakers, that's on November 14th. So if you want to, if you know anybody working in Binance Smart Chain, have them get in touch with me, that'd be cool. But yeah, so but the reason we're doing all of that is because we're also having a World Music Forum, a World Bali Forum, a World New York Forum, and all these are ways of bringing together these communities that already exist, and having a token built around that, or in the middle of that, and building community around ownership and shared, like I said, the United Nations of these tokens, because they're all nations. So, but yeah, we're not building it on Cardano directly, but Cardano is certainly feeding into the Unit ecosystem.
There's a question from Anne. She asked if you could please explain for the community here what happens, like if you want to create a personal token. How do you decide on the price for the Joe token sale? How many tokens do you issue when you initially create it?
Great question, Anne. I've been thinking a lot about that. So I think actually similar to the idea about what drives adoption of a token is the value in the treasury, and what will drive people to want to earn it, to want to be part of it. If they don't have any money to buy it, they want to earn it. So why would you want to earn that? Because it's valuable. Well, I don't think that a person who creates a personal token or any kind of token has to decide what it's worth or what to sell it for, unless they want to raise money right away. Like if you just have a business, or you're just yourself, you're just a salary or whatever you're doing, you just commit to and actually do put your income in the treasury. And so now you're creating a floor value, and now you have 100% of the tokens. You could sell them, because you could sell. And I think there'll be like a happy medium between how many tokens are out there owned by other people, and and how much you retain, because you want other people out there looking out for business for you, for ideas, getting your brand out, building you up and being part of your community. But you don't want to just give away all the ownership of yourself. So I think the market will kind of determine some kind of middle ground between those two things. But I think unless you're trying to raise money, you don't have to price it. You can just create an token, for example, and now you take your income, you put it in there, and then you can ask the market how much it's worth by putting it in that liquidity pool. You can put it in the USDU and liquidity pool and just see what people are willing to pay. And if a lot of people want it, and of course you can market it. You got all kinds of tools with the AND token. You've got, all the traditional social media tools to get out there and push it. And you're like, hey, I have a big Instagram following, or whatever. And I say, hey, I'm giving away AND token. Now, before people would be like, okay, why do I want that? I mean, I would want that because AND's awesome. She's one of our co-founders. She's super great. But if I don't know her, why would I want it? Well, because her salary is in there. She's got $10 per token or something that's currently in there, or that she's putting in there per year or something. And she's giving away, basically, she's giving away money, or like she's like getting people to share in her success and thereby grow the pie. So it's not just a limited pie we're all sharing. Like by having people own the token, now it'll get a lot bigger. The value that Anne's token creates, and she owns a lot of the tokens still, so that benefits her, benefits all the token holders. So I think that, to me, I think the first step is to create a valuable token, and then just and then let the market decide how much it's valuing that at. And you can of course market it and try to make that happen, but it solves that question, because I was thinking about that myself. Like I have a 9-bedroom house in the US that I rent out to college kids. I've had for 15 years. I was thinking, maybe it'd be good if those college kids would pay me in this castle token, because I call it the castle. So pay me in castle token, but how much should I sell it to them for? I was like, wait, oh no, the first thing to do is take the rent and put it in there, and then Now they can see it's valuable. It's got a floor value. It's got it's got income flowing in. You can see that. So then maybe I could swap it to them, something that's already valuable instead of starting out with the price that I made up. If that answers your question there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Joe. And you have to drop out, so I'll be taking over. And we have another question from Mary. Is there another unit? And is there only one organization like unit? What do you think? Thanks.
Not yet. I think that people, to the extent that it's technically possible, and I guess Michael's better has more knowledge about that than I do if it's replicable easily, but certainly I think it's not just the technology. Again, I think the capital is the key. So we want to fill up the treasury with unit token treasury. We want to fill up the various industry and city token treasuries, and then we can really I think it'll accelerate at scale. We can have super communities where people care about each other's success and futures. And I think so. No, I don't think there's a unit type of project out there right now, and I'm kind of paying attention, but yeah, so I don't think there is. But yeah, there's just one unit token on the unit network. And oh, sorry, I didn't mention that before. So each token, you pay that 2% fee, and it gets split 4 ways. But the unit token, like I said, gets 0.5% from everything on unit network. So if you own unit token, it's like, let's say we have, I don't know, let's say we have $1 billion of annual trades, right, on the whole platform, which is, I think, quite doable, especially if we're going to be one of the biggest projects in the world. Then 0.5% of that is 500. What is that? $500,000? No, $5 million. Whatever it is, that's flowing into the unit token treasury, and now the market might value that at like 100 times that. So let's say it's $5 million, that's $500 million token, and it's 100 million tokens, so that's $5 a token. I think my math is off there, but you get the idea. So yeah, pretty cool.
Great explanation, Joe. And the audience is loving all your explanations, and thank you so much. And we have another question from Marco. How's the unit foundation is funded, since we're not really using the funds for the operational expenses?
Funds can use are kept in operational bank treasury to back up the underlying. It's so, you mean how? So we're trying to keep expenses super low. And the reason for that is we don't want to have a burn rate. We don't want to have we don't want to burn out. What we're trying to do is take all the world's value and put it in a secure, like permanent way on blockchain, so it doesn't have to come back out to go into the old banking system that's crony banking system, rather corrupt in various countries. So once the unit token is funded, people can buy into the unit token, including the team that's working on unit. We can buy into the unit token. We can own it. We can create our own tokens. We can trade with each other. We can owners stake in each other. It's very, very interwoven in a way that to me, one of the things that I always thought was interesting is you go to a government school and they tend to teach you the government is the people. I don't know. Maybe I'm quite myopic. I'm from the U.S., so that's my schooling. But I mean, it's just a fiction. It's not. We're not. The government's not the people. The government's the one that kind of tells everyone what to do against their will. With the people, being the people is voluntarily choosing to be part of each other's nation. Part of each other's life and community. And the idea that we can just decentralize those nations, is not geographic based countries, is a super cool. You can be in nation with somebody in Paris and somebody in Sao Paulo and somebody in Colombia and Bali at the same time. So pretty cool. What else do we have here?
Yeah, we have a new questions from Chris. So how and when can we invest in unit?
Coming up. We're so there's 5 rounds, and we're raising $25 million in 5 rounds. The first round is actually done. Thank you, Monica. It's my unit shirt again. Everyone can see. yeah, so we're raising $25 million in the 5 rounds, and we'll be starting in the next couple of weeks, I think. Just a few things to iron out, but yeah, I mean that's $25 million, and then so it's 10 cents, 20 cents, 40 cents, 80 cents, and $1. Selling a total of 50 million unit tokens, which is half of the total 100 million. And then we're doing 6 more rounds. Or sorry, 5 more rounds at $2, $5, $10, $20, and $50. Basically, like raising, I added it up. It's a little over $200 million to back the unit token, but it's a movable number. It's not in dollars. You know, we're raising these level 1 tokens, so they changed since we had this meeting starting. So yeah, how and when. So you asked when. How you would go to the unit.network. You'd be invited by somebody. Chris, I'm not sure if you are, because I don't think we met, but you'd be invited by somebody, and you go to the unit token sale page. Let me actually. We got a couple of minutes here. Go over there and show that. Okay, so I've got right here. So this is the Joe token. I was thinking maybe I'd show you this. So, but a better example, here's the unit token. So you can see the unit token, you go to the sale page here, and you put in how much you want to buy using which of these nine tokens, including USDU at the bottom here. So these are 8 of the biggest tokens out there. And then you can see the number of rounds here. These are the first 5 rounds. And then here's that liquidity pool we were talking about, the exchange. So you put USDU with unit and make a trade, or the other way, you know, 2 USDU, 2 unit. Here you can stake it. You can, so it incentivizes people to take their unit tokens and put them here, because you get trading fees when people buy and sell the token. You get a little bit of it. So it's super. I mean, there's just so many uses, and it'd be really cool. So yeah, here's the bank, the unit token. I can see that we've got some Bitcoin, Ethereum in there. The treasury. Yeah. So as we ramp it up, hopefully everyone can participate and be part of it, because I want that for you. I think that it'll be good for everybody. Do we have any more? There's already a Joe token, Noel says. Yes. On the platform? Because I'm the one who created that one. Oh yeah, I think I should do that just now. What happens with 2 tokens of the same name? So yeah, so if you have 2 of the same name, then there are all these other metrics that you can see why they're different, like how much is in the treasury, how much is the bank, with the community. There's all kinds of transparent visuals, and you can just see it. You can see which one's the real one, unlike sort of a website. Oh, this is a fake website because it's .ca or instead of .com or whatever in the internet era. Good question here. Can you buy unit token using fiat? We will be able to using MoonPay. I'm not sure if that's available now or not. It's or if that will be available right away. But MoonPay is sort of a bank, or like a credit card to crypto bridge company. Oh, there's Michael. Okay. Yes, it works via credit, debit cards, bank transfer. Yeah, so I guess you can use fiat. That's one of the questions that John, who I talked to earlier today, had. So yeah, you can do that.
Thank you, Joe. And I think Noel had questions. What happens with 2 tokens at the same name, if they have the same name? And just to quickly jump into this, that on the unit network, you only can have 1 Joe and 1 Joe token. And if you guys would like to reserve your names, please make sure to quickly jump in and reserve the personal tokens for you. And back to you, Joe.
Yeah, and if you want to reserve Joe token, you by all means.
Buying Joe token.
Don't forget, mistaking me. It'd be great. Yeah, so I think we're got 1 minute left here.
Joe, I have a question.
Yeah.
That I think I can ask the last question and we can wrap up. What was the most happiest moments with working on Unit?
You know, I've been very inspired by the whole thing. I mean, as I said at the beginning about my background, it's just kind of like, whoa, this is like what I was kind of without really knowing about it, like looking for, like, wow, we have like full peer-to-peerization of ourselves. We can all, you know, share in each other's fortunes and just outside the scope of anyone permitting it to happen, or like having authority over whether we can associate with each other freely and connect with each other freely. So I guess, I don't know, I keep pointing back to a couple of years ago when I met Michael here in Bali, and we started talking about it. But there's a lot of cool moments just because I'm just so motivated and so inspired by what we're doing that it keeps me going when we're doing this work. Testimony of what the masters. Hey, thanks, Jay. Gonna buy Joe Chuggin. That's great. I'll buy yours as well. So let's wrap up. Looks like we're at midnight here. Thanks everyone for joining in and listening to me ramble for a while. So I appreciate that.